You were told this was normal. The noise, the cruelty, the quiet, everyday violence, disguised as politeness. They didn't take your voice. They taught you to doubt it. They didn't ban the truth. They buried it under questions, clicks, and comfort. So we tore open the signal. We are not here to soothe you. We are here to wake you up. This is not entertainment. This is interference. Welcome to the Sourcemen of the Apocalypse.
Right. I wouldn't normally do this, but I've been hearing this once too often of late. You keep saying that young people don't care. You repeat it in op-eds, on panel shows, in that weary tone reserved for people who you've already decided not to listen to. A convenient myth that disengagement is a flaw of character, as opposed to a rational response to being constantly ignored. That lie protects you. Because if young people are apathetic, then your failure to hear them becomes their fault. But they care, violently at times. They care enough to lose sleep, to argue with strangers, to watch the same disasters unfold again and again, and still bother to show up. They were not radicalised by ideology. They were radicalised by pattern recognition. They see the climate collapsing while legislation crawls. They see housing become an asset class while they're being told to tighten their belts until their ribs crack. They see work consume their lives without ever offering security in return. And you have the audacity to call that impatience, yet they engage anyway. They vote into systems engineered to dilute them. They protest under laws designed to make resistance legal, quiet, and ignorable. They organise in the gaps you leave behind, then watch as you take credit for outcomes you tried to prevent. And every time they speak plainly, you flinch. You call them naive for wanting survival. You call them dangerous for wanting change. You call them ungrateful for pointing out that the ladder was pulled up behind you and sold for scrap. You invite them to speak, but never to decide. You applaud their passion, then neutralise it. You offer dialogue, then weaponise procedure until urgency suffocates. This isn't leadership, it's containment. And when despair sets in, you pathologise it. Anxiety, burnout, fragility, as if the problem is their nervous system, not the reality you've engineered. As if a generation watching collapse in high definition should respond with calm gratitude. You've confused stability with virtue. You defend the status quo, not because it works, but because it keeps you comfortable. You treat disruption as a moral failure and compliance as maturity. Then you demand trust. But trust cannot survive contempt. Young people care, and you punish them for it. You drain their urgency, exhaust their hope, and then point to the wreckage as proof that they weren't serious all along. So when engagement curdles into fury, when politeness is abandoned, when patience runs out, don't act surprised. You taught them that asking nicely doesn't work, and then you rage at them for learning the lesson. This is not a crisis of youth, it's a reckoning of governance. And if one day the noise gets louder, sharper, organised, impossible to ignore, remember this: you were warned, repeatedly, calmly, Respectfully, you chose not to listen. Now you get to live with the consequences. Oi, Archivist, don't sign off yet. I've got something to say. While we're on the subject of politicians, I've got something to add. You lot love to call yourself leaders, but here's the truth. You were never chosen to lead. You were chosen to serve, to listen, to take the will of the people, run it through the machinery of taxation, and build something that makes existence less brutal, not more profitable for your friends. You are not kings. You are not saints. You are not celebrities with expense accounts and carefully rehearsed humility. You are the administrators of public trust, and right now, you're failing so badly the foundations of democracy are starting to crack. Instead of serving, you posture. Instead of listening, you preen. You line your nests with the shredded banknotes of the people you swore to represent. You choke on corporate lobbyist cash and call it policy. You worship GDP like it's a god while children starve in its shadow. And every time you call yourself a leader, every time you stand on a stage and talk down to the people who paid for your fucking microphone, you spit on the graves of those who fought and bled to tear democracy out of monarchy's grip. We didn't elect kings. We didn't ask for saviours. We didn't vote for parasites in tailored suits. We hired you. You work for us. And when you forget that, when you start mistaking power for entitlement, you don't just betray your office. You betray the people who gave you the power in the first place. So stop calling yourself a leader. Stop pretending you're above us. Get back in your fucking lane, because you're not here to rule. You're here to serve.
Transmission destabilized. Signal may be compromised. The white noise will rise unless we stay loud. Until next time, all hail the signal.